Bases dropped in soccer's morning show. It's a Friday. Morning ropes. Morning everybody. Freestyle Friday, which means that we are getting well, Abby, it wasn't quite technical difficulties. It was just me trying to figure out, okay, button, push, this button, that button, and then figuring out. So, yeah, sometimes it's like, and then I'll get the order messed up. And then you'll see like how the sausage is made, or you'll see my face first and all these kinds of things. So evening, Bam, and morning, everybody. And hopefully you are all doing well. John, hear you there. Freestyle Friday, as always. Hopefully at 9:30 we get to be joined by our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring. They are very, very busy here in the off season. So we'll see if we can catch up with them then. 10 o'clock is the Weekend Whiparound, patent pending, trademark coming sooner rather than later, hopefully, possibly, probably, maybe, perhaps. Oh, I do, Abby. I do have a list in order of what to press, but I always kind of like, in my brain, it's like, did I do it correctly? And it's like, did I, because there'll be mornings where I'll sit there and go, I think I will have pressed everything, but then that'll pop up and I'll go, man, I forgot to do that, because that's an overlay function. And if you don't click it, then it stays as an overlay. And it's like you have to click it once to hide it, or click it another time to activate it. So it's those kinds of things that you sit there and you're like, okay, did I click the button? Did I not? And then I'm sitting there kind of double clutching and processing in my brain. Did I touch it? Did I touch it? Did I touch it? And the only way that I figure out if I did in fact touch it, because I've kind of moved on to try to figure out everything else in the rundown, is when it pops up and you see that, and you sit there and you go, okay, well then I guess I didn't touch it. So that's kind of production down here this morning in trying to get everything squared away. Yeah, it is a busy day tomorrow. 1 o'clock for for those of you that get there really, really early. We have our first SDH at Reverb pre-tailgate show, 1 o'clock, and it's going to be us and hopefully a lot of you. And it's going to be really fun to kind of start our day there at Reverb. So I'll be there. Jason will be there. Hopefully you'll be there too. So 1 o'clock, Reverb by Hard Rock is when the day starts. We'll go 1 to 2, because then I've got to go inside and Jason's got to go inside, and we've got to get everything squared away for the rest of our day. 2:30 is when I have our meeting. Then I've got to tape Prescription for Victory, and then we do all the other stuff that we're supposed to do. It's since I'm filling in for Joe tomorrow, it is going to be trying to figure out, okay, where do I need to be? What am I promoting? Where am I going? All these kinds of things. And so I'll be filling in for the Hoff tomorrow at the team store, and to see everybody in the Gulch for the supporters package section of Inside the A. So very, very busy day for me, but it'll be fun. And so you've got all of this. And so let's see, Abby is letting us know about what is happening as a part of it. And yes, and we do need to talk Champions League in just a little bit. Okay, so Bam gives us our cricket update. India all out for 296, trailing Australia 173, just about to start the second. All right, so ropes. Champions League kickoff party at Silverbacks Park, just for those that from 2 to 8 later today. Okay, so yes, I'm at Reverb tailgate, All Stripes. There you go. So All Stripes is doing a drag show. Factions having Champions League on. We got, like I said, we got to talk about that. Will, I think you are in a majority opinion. Let's spend the weekend kicking DC's butt. Braves and United both. Braves at home. There goes your traffic. And that was going to be my question, Ricky. Is Zinner going to do all of the Inter-fans a solid, or is it going to be the coronation for Manchester City? I want predictions, and I want to and give me a key player other than sitting there saying, yeah, Erling Haaland or Kevin De Bruyne or something like that. Give me a key player outside the obvious and tell me why. Can go either side. So let me know who you're thinking. Let me know who you're thinking your most impactful player is going to be. So let me know all about that. I want to know about that as we go here this morning as well. Ricky, Bam says, Ender does no one a solid. And so Ricky's trying to make sure that it's anybody but Manchester City. Abby is the same way. I want anyone than Manchester City. Niall, contributor Niall with his prediction. 3-2 Inter win. Lautaro Martinez with the Hattie. Okay. Abby is the non-Man City. You're probably in a majority opinion too. So let me know. Like I said, I want to know your predictions for Champions League. I want to know when we get into hour number 2. I want to know what you guys think about the matches as we talk about them. Hopefully, Jason will be able to drop by and hang out with us a little bit, and we can catch up with Jason about Atlanta and DC, and we can get into a whole lot of things. All right. Let's see. Ricky says, I'm sure Nick is very happy seeing Italy in the U20 World Cup final. Coco, City wins. Alvarez gets a late winner. Niall, Man City is so spoiled, as Frank DeBoer would say. Yes. Okay. Opening kickoff. And this is something that still bugs me from the other day. And I don't have an answer for it. And so that's why I'm kind of putting it out here in the Twitch pitch this morning. Sean, your Florida Panthers are now down 2-1 after having to go to extra hockey. You went to free hockey to get the win in game number 3 of the Stanley Cup final. Abby's prediction is that Man City loses. So opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch, not to be confused with the QR code to camera right, which is our friends at Lemonize and a Lemonize service. So yesterday, we were getting into what happened at the European soccer version of the CBI or the CIT, the Europa Conference League final. And you had another incident of stupidity down here where people feel compelled to throw things, and literally, when you hit a player with a plastic bottle and just opened up a massive gash on their head, it's something. And like I said, this might end up being a rhetorical question, and it might end up being something that we have answers to as we all watch it. Why is it? And like I said, this could be rhetorical by the time I've hashed it out in my head. But why is it people feel compelled to throw things? Why is it people feel compelled to throw things when they're inside an arena and they want to throw things at players? The yelling, name calling, that I get. I mean, it's, you're there, you sit there, and you're sitting there and you're displeased with the player, so you sit there and you want to yell. And why do you feel compelled to sit there and throw something? Do you feel like when you say something that it's not that impactful? It's not impactful enough when you yell at somebody? So I'm going to take what I have in my hand that I've probably overspent on, the $14 beverage in a plastic container, and I'm going to throw it at the guy. I'm going to throw it at somebody because I'm mad. I mean, why feel compelled to throw something? I mean, is it just the next level of, being hot under the collar, and you don't think that your words are making enough of an impact, so you sit there and you look down and it's like, oh, here's the highly overpriced water that I've bought. I think I'll throw it instead, thinking that it's going to make an even deeper impact in the overall conversation. This will really sit there and show them. I'm gonna throw what I have in my hand and go ahead and chuck that at a dude. And I'm sure that the West Ham fans who acted poorly, and I'm just going to use that word, in Prague, poorly in Prague, I'm sure that there was a significant portion of them that when the plastic bottle was thrown and it hit the Fiorentina player in the back of the head, there was a certain amount of cheering. Hey, yeah, I made it. Yeah, it's great. So I've just always wondered what takes that next step. It's like, yeah, you're mad. Yeah, you're yelling. Yeah, you're cussing. But what compels that next step to sit there and go, I'm going to lob this and throw it that way and hit a player in the back of the head with it? It's something that has perpetually bugged the ever-loving ish out of me. And Bam did use that word because people are ish. Just go outside and look at society. But it just, I've always wondered about that next step. Do you feel so short-handed in your thought pattern that you want to sit there and pick something up and go, oh, okay. Oh, I have this beverage, and it's a full piece of plastic. I mean, first and foremost, you will have wasted the amount of money overpriced on whatever it was that you felt compelled to buy, whether it was water or a beer that, or something on alcoholic content or a soda or something. And so you feel compelled to turn it into a heavier version of of a football, and you want to throw it at somebody. This'll show them how mad I am. I'm going to throw my water bottle. I'm going to throw my soda. Yet people don't seem to quite grasp the notion that, one, you end up being one of, I think, 4 people that were singled out by West Ham, even though there was a boatload more of you. That Fiorentina fans, that they're not above reproach either, especially after Jared Bowen scored with 90 seconds to go. But I just always wondered that next stage. It's like you're so mad and you haven't had the opportunity to sit there and make an impact with your words and your yelling that you just get to that point where you're frustrated and you want to sit there and take whatever's in your hand. I mean, seriously, if you've dropped $14 on a soda and you're so mad that your words have done nothing that you want to lob that $14 soda at somebody, obviously not thinking A, that you probably could get away with it, or B, that there is no repercussion. You've blown $14. I wonder how many people around you sit there and they look at you and you go, man, do you know what you just spent on that? It's just, I've always wondered that next step. That you're mad that something's in your hand and you sit there and it's like, oh, okay, I think I'll throw this now. So it's just, like I said, it's something it's been something that's been kind of rallying in my brain. It's like, okay, why the next step? Why feel compelled to throw something when you've invested far too much money in that item anyway in the first place? And you just kind of like, really? But then you end up with a situation like it was a Giovinco who took the drink and drank from it once it was thrown at him. In a situation like we saw at Mercedes-Benz Stadium a couple of years ago. But yeah, I mean, it's still, like I said, it's just something that, it kind of what compels that next step. Yeah, I know we yell, and I know we yell colorful metaphors, and I know we yell choice things as fans. But just when you see a player bleeding from his head from something that was thrown by a fan, it just makes you, the psychology that's attached to it is, I guess, what was trying to wander around in my brain. It's like, why? Really? You sure? Why do you want to do something like that? And Bam, yeah. By that stage, they've been drinking for 12 hours straight, so have no concept of how much you've spent on that drink. Michael Valverde, sadly, sports fandom can become so ingrained in someone's identity that they can become mentally and emotionally dysregulated in their tribal frenzy. Bam, after spending $5 to $10 grand on flights, tickets, hotels, drinks, $14 isn't that much. Still shouldn't happen. No. But like I said, West Ham, they are, they've made the early thought of, okay, we've found 4, and so we'll see what happens next. And so, yes, the West Ham fans are having their party, hosting a victory parade, celebrating a Europa Conference League victory. Now, if you could figure out how you can replace Declan Rice when he goes, David Moyes is meeting with Chair David Sullivan to discuss the way forward. Does that mean that Moyes is there to defend the Europa Conference League title at West Ham? Or are they going to try and find somebody else? We'll see what happens. West Ham's been linked, according to Contributor Now, with Edson Alvarez. So, and I know a lot of you went down the Jack Grealish Aston Villa rabbit hole as well. So it's I think that West Ham just hasn't invested well. You lose Jack Grealish to Manchester City. You got $100 million for him. What did you do with it? So there's that with Grealish. Ricky, I think there's some will always love him for being here when we got back to the Prem and whatnot, but most I see have moved on. You need some offense. Will's to the point where you have to look at something extreme. Whichever fan group the missile comes from, team keeper gets a red. I think, Will, to your point, I think that you've got to have empty stadia. You've got to have empty stadia. Morning forecard. You have to hit the team where it matters the most, and it's the pocketbook. You should be at a point where you sit there and it's like, you guys have done this. Tell you what, your next X number of matches or the number of matches that you have in the following year's competition, I would think maybe with West Ham, maybe you have your Europa Conference League matches in an empty stadium. Yeah, lose the plastic bottles. That's true. He did just have a brain fart, no doubt. Yeah, I know. I haven't had my coffee or my Mountain Dew yet. I'm mixing things. I know. But I think if you're West Ham, I think your Europa Conference League matches, I think they should be in an empty stadium. That's just me. All your home games, you're empty. I don't care if you're a champ. I do not care if you're a champ. But yeah, I did have a brain fart. I was combining West Ham and Aston Villa. So it's West Villa. That's what I was getting into this morning. I know. Grealish and West Ham. Yeah, you got me. It's no, I've had my vitamins, but I have not had my Mountain Dew this morning. So yes, you did get me. Villa with Unai Emery. I love the pickup, and I know that I got so much grief with Unai Emery at Arsenal. And the more that I saw Unai Emery at Arsenal, the more I thought he wasn't given what he should have been given resource-wise to be successful. So he goes to La Liga, and he drives people crazy there in Europa League. Europa League and La Liga. If you've got a La Liga team that you're going up against in Europa League, good luck. And then he comes to Villa, and he's doing. And Emi Martinez, honestly, yes, I am making new teams. You got to keep Emi Martinez first and foremost. You've got to keep Emi Martinez. You have to keep Emi Martinez if you're Aston Villa. West Ham, I don't know. West Ham, I don't know what you got to do. It's just not happening. So now that I've mixed all of my teams and all my metaphors this morning, that's opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15 and you get 15% off of your investment in Kickoff Coffee. They in turn take 10%, reinvest it in youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So as I'm creating new teams in the Premier League this morning, Aston Villa, make a couple of key additions, and I think you're still trying to make that push and competing for European football. West Ham, I think that they're in trouble. I mean, you're in Europa Conference League, and I think we see this with teams that are, like lower half. I mean, the year that outside the ones that are traditionally outside of European football. And now I think that they'd be in that fight. I mean, that fight right now is like 7 or 8 teams, 7 or 8 or 9 teams, the top half. And I'm not including Chelsea at present, but they'd probably be a part of it too. You get the pick 6, then you add in Villa. Can Brentford continue? How do they reinvest if David Raya goes? What do they do about Ivan Toney? I mean, I think that Brentford is a question that has to be addressed. But no, I think that Villa's definitely a part of the discussion for Europa League next year. And then once again, you've got Unai Emery, who's done well in Europa League at Sevilla. Then he turns around and he's now doing it with Aston Villa. Yeah, 4 cards going to your West Ham's going to Europa League. So they ought to have empty stadiums. I'm sorry. That's the best way that I can think of to sit there and kind of prove a point. You can't have nice things, then you can't show up. You just can't do it. You cannot do it. And, you got to hit them in the pocketbook. I think that's really the only thing that you can do. Visiting fans can't go. Home fans can't watch. And then they'll protest outside the stadium, and then they'll throw things there, too, about how mad they are that they can't see their team. And then it turns into a lovely, vicious downward spiral. But, you've got to hit them in the pocketbook. And it's a point that we make here on the show a lot when it comes to enforcement. When it comes to enforcement. You can sit there. You can suspend a fan all you want, legitimately. You can say, 2-year ban, which is a joke. 4-year ban, which is a little less of a joke. For me, it's immediately it's a lifetime ban and criminal charges to the fullest extent of the law. I'm over it. But in these cases, you can sit there and say, yeah, they're banned from everything for 2 years. They're banned from Premier League games for 2 years. They're banned from all competition for 4 years. How do you enforce it? How do you enforce it? They can look like Bobby Valentine that one time he got ejected from the Mets game. He put on the fake glasses and the mustache and popped up into the dugout anyway. How do you enforce it? Short of that James Dolan face recognition technology that he claims to have at Madison Square Garden for all the fans that say nasty things about him at Knicks games, where he claims he can turn them away at the door. How are you going to enforce 1 fan or 4 fans in a stadium that is 10,000 times that number? Wanted posters at every gate. Do not let this person in. Don't do it. They'll find ways to get in. They'll yuck it up with their friends. Hey, look what we did. We beat the system. I got it anyway. You're always going to have these moments. You can suspend folks all day long. You legitimately, you could ban them from games all day long. But until you figure out a way to enforce it, all this is talk. Will thinks you got to punish the team on an on-field way. And that would be more preventative than punitive measures done after the fact. And that goes back to Will giving, say, a keeper a red or something like that. Then you get into the whole notion of on-field competition and all that kind of stuff. And so it is something that deserves a 3-dimensional answer because you can't attack it as a 2-dimensional problem. The cause and effect that is attached to this here. It's the difficult part in all of this. Fan does something wrong, punish fan. Fan does something wrong, punish team. Yeah, that's the lines and the dimensions are different. But the key in all of it is trying to figure out the best way to remind folks, as contributor Niall says, it's a privilege to go to soccer games, and you can't abuse that privilege because there are other people that would love to be in the position of soccer games. How do you enforce this? Massive fine so the person can't pay to get into a game anymore to buy tickets? Because that's the other thing. I rarely see fines engaged with fans. I rarely do. So it's just, like I said, it is the throwing things, I guess, has kind of spiraled into other ideas and trying to figure out how to tackle this. Keeper heads may be harsh, according to Will, but a penalty kick a la technical foul in basketball. Okay, now that I could see. Something that would benefit the aggrieved in an immediate sense. You go past all of these other things, removing teams off the pitch. We're going to stop the game, stop throwing things. We're going to pull the players off the pitch. Empty the stadium. Empty out the stadium, let the game go on. And then punish those that are stupid to the fullest extent of the law. I mean, that's the only thing that I can think of. You have to punish folks to the fullest extent of the law. You really legitimately do. That's the only way that you can sit there and try to figure out what to do. What to do. And one of the, short of violating TV rules and bringing up one of my favorite speeches in recent memory. You've quoting one of the great midfielders in Premier League history, Roy Kent. I get that some people think that if they buy a ticket, they've got the right to yell whatever abusive-ish they want at footballers. But they're not just footballers, they're also people, and none of us know what's going on in each other's lives. So you yell things, you throw things. First off, it's immature as all hell. Absolutely immature as all hell. Yeah, it is assault, Abby. It absolutely is. It is absolutely assault. Arrest them and charge them to the fullest extent. Yeah, people are idiots, Niall. And Will is like, do a shootout penalty, no rebounds. And apparently, according to our friends at Spurs, Ange is officially official. Will Daniel Levy give Ange Postecoglou anything resembling resources? Posted a 55-second message, really excited at the task ahead. I think it's an exciting opportunity for us to now sort of set off in a new direction. Play football and create an environment that embodies the values and traditions of this fantastic football club. Hopefully a team that you can all be proud of and, more importantly, get excited by. Postecoglou says, I can assure you in the preseason we won't leave any stone unturned, myself, the staff, and the players, to make sure that when the league comes around, that you'll all be as excited as I am about the season ahead. So I really look forward to seeing everyone at the stadium, in particular at our first home game, and look forward to the journey ahead. Ange is officially official. He's held up the jersey, and he posted a message. So Ange Postecoglou is officially official. I hope that Daniel Levy gives him the resources that he's hunting for, and the biggest first thing that they've got to do is re-sign Harry Kane. People are chasing after him. Ricky Ricardo doing the public service that he always does. The new other kit has finally dropped for CF Montreal. The primary jersey has arrived. Stade Saputo. It's pretty cool. I mean, there's kind of a gradient to it with some arrows north and south. I mean, it's kind of cool. Would I drop money on it? Not really. But it is very cool. I mean, I get it. And honestly, 4Card. Yeah, 4Card says they should sell and reinvest the Harry Kane money. I mean, if you want to invest, if you invest in and around Harry Kane and Young-Min Son, fantastic. I don't see it happening. But if you want to keep your, because this team, oh man, this team is in such bad shape right now. Bam, good to see you. We'll be back at it. Have a good weekend. The team is in such bad shape on the field, and they come up with such shock losses that it is, you just wonder. They've been, I mean, Jared has mentioned it. He's used the word broken at times. I think for Harry Kane, frankly, I think that he needs a fresh start someplace. I think that he hasn't had the resources given to him to surround him with quality individuals for quite some time. And you've got to find a way to make Harry Kane happy, do right by him, and then figure out your future. I think that you brought in a new manager in Ange Postecoglou. By the way, Antonio Conte is now apparently also being wooed, scouted, courted by the Saudi Premier League. Another 9-figure salary is what is being waived at Antonio Conte if he wants to go to the Saudi Pro. But I think bringing in Ange, new manager, all this kind of stuff. Katie Weaver, free Harry. Okay, so now it's official. All right. So as a Spurs fan, Katie Weaver, free Harry. He should be in the Champions League. All right. So if you have Spurs fans like Katie Weaver who wish nothing but the best for their favorite soon-to-be American place kicker when he retires, if Katie Weaver, Spurs fan, is saying that Harry Kane needs to go just so he can play in Champions League, we see a lot of fans like this. Give so-and-so a good home. That's what you're looking for, because they have done service to that point and been a benefit to the club and will always be remembered by the club. And whenever Harry Kane goes to wherever he's going and returns to Spurs Stadium, which, by the way, is still looking for a corporate sponsor, how is that not possible? That Harry Kane will get one of the loudest ovations known to mankind the second he returns in whatever jersey he's wearing. No ropes there is not. Still leader in the clubhouse. Ropes is asking if there's confirmation of Tata to Miami. All I've seen is leader in the clubhouse. Preliminary talks as of 2 days ago. Still leader in the clubhouse, I think. And so that's what you're looking at there. And once again, when you have these kinds of things, advanced talks, Ariel Senosian and his 139,000 followers, talks are in an advanced state. Luis Suarez, Busquets, I mean, seriously, it literally is like turning it into Super Friends at this point. But follow your sources. Check them always. Always, always, always check your sources when it comes to all of this stuff. Nahuel Ferreira, advanced talks, principle of the agreement on the sports project and on the economic part, getting closer. Contract initially at 3 years is what you're staring at. That's what you're staring at. Joe Bost, Kane to enter Miami. Why the hell not? Exactly. Katie Weaver with a scenario. GG 10 to 12 more goals here. Ange chases his Greek Celtic brother Zeus to Spurs in 24. Joe Bost, I'm for sure going to be hitting Miami if Tata goes there too. Yeah, it's just you may as well just take the sleeve and tear it off. Take the sleeve and tear it off at that point. Ropes, the Nashville fan that posted Sergio Ramos to Atlanta United cracked you up. I mean, you're not the only one. Phil Neville apparently has joined the Canadian national team staff. That was quick. Assistant under John Herdman for Nations League and Gold Cup, according to Tommy Scoops and Ricky Ricardo. Interesting. I mean, coaches always want to coach. But once again, remember, follow your sources. Check the numbers. Because there were dudes over the last couple of days that were posting stuff that were looking at 200 followers. Niall's still angry at Ramos for hurting Salah. You're not the only one. But there are dudes with like less than 200 followers posting things having to do with this saga and all of the other knock-on effects. Check your numbers. Check your sourcing. Follow down the rabbit hole. This is, once again, with Messi and friends, with the upcoming transfer window, all of these comments are, it's great to sit there and play Football Manager. But folks have to be, there has to be some logic attached to it. Sergio Ramos to Atlanta United. Yeah, sure, what the hell? But when dude posts it to a message board and it's like he's got like 12 followers, that versus Cesar Luis Merlo and Hernan Garcia Grova and Fabrizio Romano and Guillaume Balaguer, there's a difference. There's a difference. Joe, I think you're absolutely right. Joe says, hell, I got 300 followers, so I should start posting rumors that are probably not true. You wouldn't be, go for it. Just before you do it, let us know that you're doing it so we know that, what's going on. And true, yeah. I mean, Tom, absolutely true. Joseph and Tata didn't have exactly the warmest of relationships. Absolutely true. And if, once again, remember, Joseph is not a DP. He is not a DP in Miami. But right now, if you bring in, I mean, here's what's being talked about. Di Maria, Busquets, Messi. Di Maria, Busquets, and Messi. Like I said, this is Messi and friends. All right, so if Messi's got an NIL deal. We know that. We know that that's going down. That's what this is. Major League Soccer has to adjust their salary structure because of this. Not very many individuals can take the kind of NIL deal that Messi was given. Angel Di Maria, and it's Angel Di Maria and Sergi Busquets. I mean, think about this. Messi can get his NIL deal. Yeah, absolutely. Messi and friends coming soon to Apple TV. Messi can get an NIL deal. I don't think there are many other individuals that can get an NIL deal like Messi did. I mean, you could sit there and say, yeah, I mean, since Messi was the first one in the door, he's taken the Apple section and he's taken the Adidas part. If you bring in, God, who was linked? Basically everybody. Basically everybody was linked to Inter Miami and is to be a part of Messi and Friends. But since Messi has already come in the door first and has pulled the discussion of Apple and Adidas away from everybody else, you can't sit there and do the same thing for the and Friends, because Messi has probably already taken, since he's first one in the door, he's the one who's taken those two sections of an NIL deal. You'd have to be more imaginative to pay Di Maria or Busquets or and Friends, because it cannot match what you're doing to bring Lionel Messi to Inter Miami. And remember, this deal isn't done. Everybody's saying the right things. Messi admitted that there are still some things that have to be worked out. Could you imagine if this falls apart? Tom, it wouldn't surprise me a bit. So does MLS now become the NBA of the football world? Groups of stars decide to get together and join teams. I think in premise, we're heading in that direction. But at the same time, once again, it goes back to having to fix the salary structure. The and Friends part of this necessitates fixing your salary structure. Like I said, Messi is apparently lined up with this deal. Apple, Adidas, salary, whatever, to be a part of Inter Miami. To bring in other individuals so you can have these super teams. So you can, and the irony of Miami's not lost on me either, with LeBron, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh. To bring in all of these players, you have to do things like the Larry Bird exception. You've got to figure out that fourth DP. You've got to loosen up your salary cap. But you've got to have a floor and a ceiling, because you will know that there will be folks that will not want to invest and will want to do things in their way. And we know who those teams are. But you've got to have a floor. You've got to have a ceiling. You've got to add a DP. And you've got to figure out ways to make sure that if you want to bring in and Friends, that it all fits. You have to do this. And this transaction, when it gets finalized, bringing Lionel Messi into Major League Soccer, this should be the catalyst to fix your salary structure. Legitimately. It legitimately should. But will Major League Soccer do it? Or do you just try to figure out, okay, so we've got Messi. I mean, we can give him this transformative kind of a deal. But, what if other dudes want to come and play? Can you imagine running through that midfield if you're an offense? If you're an offense with any kind of speed whatsoever? Could you imagine going up against that midfield? Teams with speed going up against and Friends? Yeah, Tom. Exactly, the Messi rule. Major League Soccer announces with immediate effect that each team may add a fourth designated player to its roster. Yeah, you do that in season, holy crap. You begin the transfer window. There's an announcement, Don Garber at like 30 Rock, or actually, no, at Hard Rock. At Hard Rock, he has an announcement. When this is signed, You have the big pomp and circumstance. You've got the table. Messi's there with the Moss brothers and David Beckham. Well, and Emilio, we'll get into that in just a sec. So you're imagine this scenario. Not at DRVP&K, but at Hard Rock. Because there's shade. Big table. You'll get the fireworks and the wacky wavy inflatable tube men, Imagine this scenario. The contract signing is on this large dais. Moss brothers, Beckham, Messi on one side, Don Garber, a lot of MLS front office folks on the other side. Maybe the head of U.S. Maybe Cindy Parlow Cohn is there or something. I don't know. But one side of the press conference table is the Inter Miami folks. Think of it like a contract signing for a match at a pay-per-view in World Wrestling Entertainment. Don Garber and the MLS folks are on one side. Lionel Messi, his dad, Moss brothers, David Beckham, they're all up there. You make the announcement. Messi stands up, signs the contract. You're flipping pages. He's flipping pages, and he's signing the contract. Don Garber is a part of this while it's happening. Says, quoting Tom Russo, Major League Soccer announces with immediate effect each team may add a fourth designated player to its roster. We have understood that the future of our league starts, the next chapter of our league starts with this transaction that is happening today here in front of us with Major League Soccer. So we are going to announce an adjustment to the salary structure of Major League Soccer, whereby if a team wishes to add a fourth designated player from this moment forward, you may do so. Bang! He hits a gavel or something. You have that announcement. Could you imagine what would happen? The cattle call in Major League Soccer. I mean, literally, it's like supermarket showdown. Literally, everybody's racing through the aisles with their full carts trying to figure out, okay, who can I get? Ricky Ricardo also keeping an eye on things at Defensa y Justicia. Edwin Mosqueda mutually terminated his contract with DYJ. Don't know. Is he coming back? Don't know. Exactly, Tom. It is the Oprah moment. You get a DP, and you get a DP, and you get a DP. Everybody gets a DP. Exactly right, Jason Nix. Everybody gets a DP. And much like Oprah in the car, you got to pay the taxes on it. But biggest thing is if you add a fourth DP, which you need to do, you've got to have a ceiling and you got to have a floor. So to Emilio's point, let's say 6 teams don't want to spend. And well, I don't think you'd have a dissolving. I don't think you would, because it doesn't do the league any good. Because then you'd have players re-entering the pool and trying to find homes. I mean, we know that there will be teams that may not invest to the levels of others. And I know here in the U.S., 32 seems to be the number that we stick to, 30 or 32 when it comes to our pro leagues. But what you end up with, yeah, and this is probably what you would have happen, because to Tom's point, probably just have a bunch of teams getting sold to people who want to invest and get into the game. Exactly. That's what I think would be one of two things that would happen here. Is that you would have teams who are more academy based. The Cleveland Barons, yes. The Cleveland Barons and the California Golden Seals, exactly. Which in turn turned into the Colorado Rockies. I mean, the Colorado Avalanche. But you would end up with one of two things. And I mean, we went over this earlier in the week. Who would invest and who would not? In the sense of, okay, I mean, Cincinnati, new building, they probably wouldn't invest as much. Nashville probably wouldn't invest as much. Philadelphia, they have an academy system in place, so they would once again fill with the academy, filling over the top. Robert Kraft would invest. Atlanta would invest. Columbus, the Haslams, I'm sure they would invest in their football team. The other one, the Browns. D.C. would be an interesting test case. What does D.C. do? Orlando, I mean, they pick their spots. They bring in the high seven-figure, low eights sometimes, but I don't think it would be something where they would blow the doors off folks. Greg Tepper would be an interesting test case in Charlotte. Joey Saputo would use his relationships overseas, wouldn't overspend. Red Bulls, we know what Red Bulls do. They're a system club. NYC, City Football Group, they feed the rest of City Football Group, so it would have to be through their academy. Toronto would invest. Chicago, interesting test case. Miami, we know what they're doing. They're last in the East. And you want to bring in friends. St. Louis is going to do things in a Red Bullsian way. Got off to a great start. They're kind of regressing to the mean. They want to do things through their academy and all that kind of stuff. Seattle, they would invest. LAFC will invest. Dallas, academy, plus sell-ons, plus bringing in folks over the top from whom you sell. Dallas would not be one of those clubs, I would think, that would just throw money at a problem. Fourth DP comes in, they would still do things their way. Academy, build, sell on, reinvest. San Jose, I don't think they would. Vancouver, don't think they would. Minnesota, don't think they would as much. Austin, interesting test case. We've seen that they have been willing to invest. They've missed on a couple of important transactions. And you've got to get Driussi help. Salt Lake, not really. Houston, interesting test case with a new owner. Portland, they broke the bank last year. Would they continue to do so? Kansas City, strategically investing in players. Colorado, probably not. LAG, you know they would. So for those, say, 6, 6 or 8, let's say, folks are going to go things differently, and as their prerogative. But then you get into the idea of possible peer pressure, with the Joneses and all that kind of stuff, trying to figure out, okay, who invests, who doesn't, do we keep up? If we can't keep up, to Tom's point, there will be individuals who will sit there and look at Major League Soccer as an investment that is on the increase, and you should. It is a growing market. It is a growing investment. And if I had 9 figures left of the decimal place in net worth, or perhaps 10 or 11, then I would probably do that. Or I'd be like Bill Foley and maybe invest $150 million in Bournemouth instead of having to invest $800 in a startup club at Major League Soccer. But it is an investment that folks sit there and see value in, and they would invest in Major League Soccer. If there are folks that are like, nope, too rich for my blood, there's a line out the door of folks who'd want to come into Major League Soccer and sit there and say, yep, I'm in. So if there are 6, say, Emilio, that wouldn't be that interested in investing, there'd be 6 dudes or 6 groups that would come in and buy from those 6 that are not interested in investing and be a more highly competitive 30. And then once again, you'd probably have to sit there and readjust your salary demands and figures and caps and things like that. Add a DP, have a ceiling, have a floor. That should get you started. All right, so it's 10 o'clock, and that means that it's time to read a promo. Let me see if I'm missing anything on the what is up today. So, all right. So since it is the top of the hour, you know what that means. It's time to read a promo, and we will do so, provided I can figure out where the music is. And that's right. I got to lower the music down to like 15 and go to rock. And here we go. Free clean, fresh air. One place you need to go. It's a Lemonize service. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you watching on Twitch. And sorry if I interfered in the QR code with my index finger just now for those of you trying to snap onto it. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, you go to Eliminize. The Eliminize service deodorizes enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use the Eliminize service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process. Makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers. Kind to the environment, offering a green way to go about getting rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or our other favorite masking agents that we have either underneath the sink or above us in the cupboard. Because when we reach underneath the sink or above us in the cupboard, take out the masking agent, spray it in the air, there's a reason they call it a masking agent, because it masks the odor. It doesn't attack the problem all the way down to the molecule like our friends at the Eliminize service do with their proven scientific formula. Pricing one of two ways, either by the cubic foot or parts per million, to come up with a price that's affordable for you. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go, it's the website. And this is where I grab my pen. Go to the website, eliminize.com, but do us a favor here at SDH. Go /Atlanta afterwards so they know what part of the world you are addressing them from so they can help you with your problem. Full homework assignment. ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, eliminize.com /Atlanta. Eliminize service, proud sponsors of everything SDH on a Friday. Because, Sean, it is a Friday. And that's where we are. Eliminize service, proud sponsors of everything SDH. All right. So, heading into hour number 2, it is traditionally Weekend Whiparound. Patent pending, trademark coming. We'll save the Atlanta United match for later. And we will get into all of the news that's fit to print before the show is over and get you ready for the weekend. I still want your predictions and thoughts and everything that have gone on involving Champions League, because that's tomorrow. Erling Haaland, is it a treble? Is it a historic treble for Manchester City? Is it a historic treble for Manchester City? Or is it something else entirely? Ask. Is it? Is it something else entirely? I know a lot of folks want it to be something else entirely. Ropes wants to talk about the broadcast crew on Big FOX that was announced for the Women's World Cup. There are some folks on there that are friends of the show. Jen Hildreth. Jen is going to be here in the States, calling from Los Angeles. There's going to be a couple of folks a couple of crews that are going to be in Australia, New Zealand. John Paul Della Camera's a part of it. I know there are certain individuals who are lightning rods that have been garnering a lot of attention for their being named to the broadcast crew. And all I'm going to say is that there are other ways to watch it. Yeah, shout out to Payson. There are other ways to watch. And I will probably be one trying to find, I know one of the other ways. So I will probably be watching in other ways. And that reminds me, next time that Bart's on, we have to ask him about his travel plans, because Bart is going to be our intrepid reporter in the Southern Hemisphere for the tournament. And I know that he has turned it into an excursion and a massive holiday. And we'll try to find as many ways that Bart can write the whole thing off as humanly possible. So that's going to be fun. Coming up just around the corner, by the way. And you've got teams that are announcing rosters and things like that. So it's going to be a very, 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 very interesting tournament. And the poster that came out yesterday from the American rights holder drew anger and ire of fans. And once again, not necessarily a surprise. So getting into Weekend Whiparound. Once again, with Weekend Whiparound, reminder, let me know what you're thinking as well. I want to know what's on your mind. And winners, gossip, rumor, innuendo, all that kind of stuff. A lot of games at 7:30. We've got 6 tomorrow night, including Atlanta and DC United. We're skipping that one for a bit. 7:30, CF Montreal and their new kit hosting Minnesota United. CF Montreal in the juice boxes is a +117. Your draw is a +240. And Minnesota United is a plus 229. It's on the free side of Apple TV at Stade Saputo. Fun facts, as 6-9-1 hosts 5-6-5. Minnesota United's won each of their first 3 meetings with CF Montreal. Shouldn't that just mean that they've won their 3 meetings? The 3 meetings that they've had. Scoring 8 goals over the 3 games, including a pair of 3-2 wins in Montreal. 1 in 2017, 1 in 2019. Loons have never won 3 straight road matches against a single opponent in the club's MLS history. CF Montreal's won 7 of their last 8 home regular season matches, including the last 4, keeping clean sheets in all 4. Only 4 teams in MLS history have managed at least 5 straight shutout wins at home in a single season, most recently Columbus in 2020. Minnesota United's lost 5 of its last 6 regular season road matches, winning the other 1 after opening the season with 3 straight wins away from home. None of Minnesota's last 25 regular season away matches have ended in a draw. 10 wins, 15 losses. Tied for the 3rd longest such streak in the post-shootout era. That's basically since 2000. CF Montreal trailed 2-0 at halftime against the Union on Saturday after allowing goals in the 12th and 36th minutes. 8th time Montreal was behind at the half this year, tied for the most in Major League Soccer. Managed to recover in just 1 of those. 1 point. 1 draw, 7 losses after they're down 2-0. Down at the half, 0-1-7. Minnesota United attempted 20 shots in their 1-1 draw with Toronto FC after taking 22 in a 2-1 loss to Austin. Prior to the last 2 games, Loons had attempted 20 or more shots just once in their previous 48 regular season matches dating back to the end of last season. All of that said, I'm going with Montreal in that one. I think Montreal, Stade Saputo, very, very tough place to play. I don't know if Minnesota can handle Stade Saputo. So I've got to go with CF Montreal in that one. Also at 7:30, Charlotte and Seattle. Charlotte's a plus 140, and remember, if you missed the conversation that we had with Nico Moreno yesterday, this was one of the matches that we focused on. Charlotte's a plus 140 at B of A. You can listen to Will and Jess on WFNZ, should you so choose, if you're not at the Atlanta United match and have multiple audio devices available to you. Draws a plus 238, Seattle's a plus 188. This one is on season pass as 6-8-3 hosts 8-6-3 at 7:39. Fun facts. Sounders defeated Charlotte 2-1 in Seattle last May in the first meeting between these two sides. Ben Bender put Charlotte ahead after 21 minutes. Morris and Rui Diaz scored in the second half for the comeback. Charlotte saw their 7-match home unbeaten run in all comps come to an end last match in the 2-1 loss to Nashville on May 20. They'd won 5. Charlotte's lost only 3 of their last 13 home matches in all comps dating back to last September. They've won 7. Sounders have won only 2 of their last 8 regular season matches, drawing 2, losing 4 after a run of 6 wins in their previous 9. So you're dealing with the extremes here with Seattle. Seattle scored only once in their last 4 matches. Jordan Morris in the 1-0 win over Red Bulls back on May 27. They've also had a boatload of injuries in that time. Justin Miram scored his 3rd goal for Charlotte in the loss at Columbus on Saturday to go along with 3 assists in 8 matches. One of only 2 MLS players, Lucas Zelarayan, 3 and 4, with at least 3 goals and 3 assists since the start of May. Sounders failed to score for the 2nd straight match in a goalless draw with Portland on Saturday. Remember, we were hyping that one up. Because it's Cascadia, we thought it was going to be crazy. We were wrong. Seattle's been held to fewer than 2 goals in a club record 10 straight regular season matches, totaling just 6 goals in that time. Fewest in a 10-match span since June of 2015, 5 from June to August. We all know how tough it is to win on the road in Major League Soccer, so I'll go draw here. Might have a bit of excitement to it. Probably 2-2 somewhere in there. We know Charlotte scores at home. So 2-2 would be probably something that I'm staring at with this match. Revs and Inter Miami. Revs are a massive favorite. No real shock. It's on season pass at 7:39. Kick from Gillette. 7, 3, and 6 hosting 5 and 11. Revs are a minus 196. Your draws a plus 342. Inter Miami's a plus 491 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. Fun facts. Inter Miami earned the 2-1 home win over New England on May 13. David Ruiz and Joseph Martinez scored. Miami, New England have each won home and away against the other at least once, while none of the first 5 meetings between the sides ended in draws. New England unbeaten in their first 7 matches this regular season at home, though the last 2 in Foxborough were draws. They were 4-1. Now they're 4-0-3, or 4-3-0. They were 4-1-0. Now they're 4-3-0. I'll get it figured out. Only 2 times New England has avoided defeat in more than 7 straight home matches to start a season were in 2005 and 2015, 9 matches each. Inter Miami has lost 5 straight matches following the 2-1 loss to DC United Saturday after recording a 6-match losing streak earlier in the year. Miami's lost 6 of their first 7 away, 1 win, failing to score in 5 of those 6 games. Carlos Heel set up 6 chances for teammates in the draw with NYCFC. 40th MLS match with 5 or more chances created. No other player has more than 16 games with 5 or more chances created since Heel joined the league in 2019. Joseph scored the winning goal in Miami's victory over New England back in May, 7th goal in 10 career matches against the Revs. 4 of those happened in the Rev wedding. No other player has scored more than 5 regular season goals against New England since Joseph joined Major League Soccer in 2017. I'm going New England at a minus 196. Next up, Purple Team in Colorado. Purple Team and Colorado at 7:30 on the free side of Apple TV at Exploria Stadium. We got to go over the announce crews too. 6, 4, and 5 hosting 2, 8, and 7. Obviously, folks are leaning Purple Team. And Abby, right now, as of now, Nashville would be winning the Southern title, but the Southern Heavyweight Championship. Fun facts at Orlando City at a minus 125. Your draws a plus 276. Colorado is a plus 322. So, fun facts in this one. Purple Team has won all 3 of the home matches against Colorado, with the last being a 4-3 win in April 2019. Colorado's one of 2 teams, Portland being the other, that's played at least 1 road match at Orlando City but never taken a point. Purple Team's just won 1 of their last 7 home league matches, drawing 3 and losing 3, though they've gone unbeaten in their last 3 at Exploria. Orlando's one of 4 teams, including Colorado, 4 home and 9 away, with more points on the road than at home, which is interesting. Rapids have 13 points at the halfway mark of the regular season, their fewest after 17 matches of a season in club history. Since MLS expanded to 34 matches in 2011, only 6 previous teams have had 13 points or fewer at the midway point, none of them making the playoffs, excluding 2020. Facundo Torres scored his first brace, recorded first multi-goal game by an Orlando City player this year with the win over New York Saturday. He's been involved in 25 goals since joining the Purple Team last year, 13 goals, 12 assists, 5 more than any other Lions player at the time. Colorado held San Jose without a shot on target in their scoreless draw Saturday. First time Rapids have not faced a shot on target in a match since August of 21 in their match against Sporting. San Jose's 11 attempts were the most by a team without a shot on target in Major League Soccer this season. And reminder by Abby, by the way. The Southern Belt is only between those teams. Orlando doesn't count since they don't participate in the Independent Supporters Council. See, if they'd participate in the ISC, they'd be up for the belt, but they're not. So with Orlando as a favorite and Colorado being Colorado, you got to go with the Purple Team here. Your other 7:30, Toronto and Nashville. Nashville is a slight road favorite at a plus 166. Draws a plus 222. Toronto is a plus 170. And this one is also on the season pass side And Ricky, and that is also true. Florida isn't the South. Toronto at 3-5-9, hosting 9-3-4 at BMO Field, 7:39 kick. Fun facts. Toronto's unbeaten in their last 4 with Nashville. 2 wins and 2 draws, including the scoreless draw at Geodis back in April. Toronto's the only team to go 4 straight regular season matches against Nashville without defeat. They've lost only one of their 9 home matches with this regular season, drawing 5, winning 3. The 2-0 defeat to New England back in May. So far this year, Canadian teams have lost only 3 of 22 home matches against American opposition. We all know how tough it is to travel. Nashville is unbeaten in 8 straight, winning 6 of their last 7, 4 in a row. 4-match win equals the longest in club history for Nashville, along with a 4-match run in August of September to 22. Insigne has been directly involved in Toronto's last 3 MLS goals, 1 goal, 2 assists, including scoring the lone goal in the draw with Minnesota last week. Insigne had been involved in just 1 of Toronto's first 13. And he is not posting on social media about how he is doing so well in statistics either. Hani Mukhtar scored the winning goal in Nashville's 2-1 victory at Dallas on Saturday. 3rd straight match with a goal. Has been involved in 79 goals since the start of the 21 season. 49 goals, 30 assists, 23 more than any other player in that time. I have no clue about this one. I have no clue. My gut tells me a draw, just because of how difficult it is to go to Canada and play in general. But Toronto is so schizophrenic, I have no earthly idea how to read this one. I'll say draw just to be safe. 6 at 8:30 and 2 on Sunday. Chicago Fire, Columbus Crew, 8:39. Fire, home favorite at a plus 148. Your draw is a plus 250. Crew are a plus 168 in this one. This one's on the free side of Apple TV at Soldier Field. Fun facts. Yes, exactly. If no clue, then draw. It's exactly right, Abby. No clue, then draw. Abby's saying Columbus over Chicago. It's 3-5-8, hosts 7-6-3. Fun facts. Columbus came from 2-0 down to beat the Fire 3-2 at Soldier Field last July for the Crew's 2nd win in their last 25 visits to Chicago in all comps, losing 13. Dating back to 2007. Crew have won consecutive matches at Fire only once before, recording victories in May and October of 2004. Fire unbeaten in 9 straight home MLS matches. 7 of those ended in draws. Chicago's longest home unbeaten run since 14 matches from September of 2016 to August of 2017. After the 3-2 win at the Fire last July, the Crew have won just 1 of their last 14 regular season away matches, losing 7, drawing 6, including losing the last 3 in a row away from home. Over the same period, Columbus has played 18 regular season home matches, losing only 2. Fire failed to hit the target with any of their 6 shots in their loss to Cincinnati Saturday, 3 from outside the box. Chicago hit the target with just 7 of the 53 shots it's attempted from outside the box, resulting in 13.2% accuracy, the lowest in Major League Soccer this year. Cucho Hernandez has contributed a goal in 7 straight, longest single-season streak by a Crew player since who? Edson Buttle in 2003. Hernandez can tie the club record of 8 straight with a goal contribution set by Jeff Cunningham, July-August of 2001. I got to go Columbus. I don't know what I'm getting out of Chicago these days, so I'll go Columbus. Yeesh. Houston hosting LAFC. 8:39 at Shell Energy. Houston's a plus 202. Draws a plus 254. LAFC is a plus 125. My first thing is, what does this lineup look like for LAFC? Because this is the first in a home and home between these two teams. They play this weekend, then they play in the midweek back in Los Angeles. Is this the roster? Is this the starting 11 that looks like an Open Cup roster? Or do you try to sit there and do what LAFC did in the Atlanta match, save a couple of dudes on the bench? Chiellini didn't play, So does Chiellini get to start in Houston, as an example? Does Vela start in Houston? How do you gauge it? This is the first of a home and home with these two. Free side of Apple TV at Shell Energy. Fun facts. 5-7-3 hosting 7-1-5. LAFC's lost only one of their 10 all-time MLS matches against the Dynamo, winning 5. Was at Shell Energy last August when they lost 2-1. Both teams have scored in all 10 regular season meetings. Dynamo have won 5 of their first 7 matches this season at home, allowing only 2 goals in those matches. Only 2 teams in MLS history, Chivas in 07, Toronto FC in 08, have allowed 2 goals in their first 8 home matches of a season. LAFC's won only 3 of their last 12 in all comps, including going 4 in a row without a win, losing 3 for the first time since September and October of 2021. LAFC's also failed to score in consecutive matches for just the second time in club history, September 2020. 2 of the 3 goals Houston conceded against St. Louis, all caps on Saturday, came from the penalty spot. Third time since late September last year, Dynamo have allowed 2 penalty goals in a match, something the rest of MLS has done twice combined. Denny Bouanga has scored in each of his last 3 regular season away matches. Second player with a 3-match road scoring streak in MLS this season. Who's the other? You know him. Some guy named Yakamakis. The only LAFC player to score in 4 straight is Carlos Vela, who did it most recently in April and June of 2019. I'll say this. If this is the first of the home and home, and this is the one where you get rotated, I'm going Houston. If LAFC is going to front load it like they did against Atlanta and then have some firepower back on the bench, I'm going LAFC. Because once again, first match in a home and home, do you send folks on the road, get a result, play Red Bulls kind of like you did in the first half against Atlanta United, and then after you've rope-a-doped for the first 45, then come out in the second 45, have Vela come off the bench, have your firepower come off the bench in various ways, Steve Buke coming in. Do you do it that way? Formula worked in the midweek against Atlanta United. Be interesting to see what the lineup looks like. Also at 8:30, Sporting hosting Austin. Sporting's favored. Kind of found a bit of a rhythm recently. They're at a -114. Austin is a +284. Your draw is a +274. In a match that is on season pass side of things at Children's Mercy Park. 4-8-5 hosting 5-7-4. Austin's won their last 3 against Sporting after Sporting earned a win and a draw in the first 2 encounters. Austin's never recorded a 4-match win streak against a single opponent in the club's MLS history. Sporting's lost only 1 of their last 7. 14 points since the beginning of May, the most in the Western Conference, 4th most in Major League Soccer. They won all 3 home matches in that time after taking just 1 point from their first 4 at home this season. Austin's lost 9 of their last 12 road matches, dating back to last August, including the playoffs. Conceding more than 1 goal in 10 of those 12. Run comes after Austin had lost only 2 of their previous 12 road matches in league play, winning 8 from April to July of 22. Daniel Shalhoub scored in each of his last 3 home matches after having scored in 4 straight and from June and July of 2021. The only Sporting player to record multiple home scoring streaks of 4 or more games is Preki. That's how far back this goes. 7-4 back in 1996. Julio Cascante scored the late headed goal in the 2-1 loss to RSL by Austin Saturday. 6 of Austin's 9 goals since the beginning of May have been scored via headers. No other team in the league has more than 3 in that time. I'm going Sporting. Austin is spinning their wheels. I'm going with Sporting Kansas City these days. 9:30 RSL hosting NYC. RSL's a +119. I think Max and Dunny are doing this one. That reminds me, we got to go over the announcers and the officials. RSL's a +119. Your draw's a +250. NYC is a +218. Fun facts on season pass from Rio Tinto as 5-7-4 hosts 4-7-5. RSL's won 3 of the home matches against NYC, with the last meeting at The Riot coming back in 2019, a 3-1 win by the home side. RSL is the only team NYC FC has played 3 or more away matches without ever collecting a point. RSL recorded their 4th win of the season Saturday with the win over Austin. They haven't won consecutive MLS matches in over a year since a 3-match run in May of 22, failing to win the match following its last 10 victories. NYC has collected just 2 points from their last 7 MLS matches. Worst span of 7 matches since their inaugural season of 2015. NYC's gone more than 7 straight without a win in league play just once. 11 matches in that 2015 season. Rubio Rubin scored his first 2 goals of the regular season in the win over Austin. 3rd career brace. First regular season multi-goal game by an RSL player since the start of the 22 season. As RSL were the only team without one in that time. Gabriel Pereira attempted 6 shots, hitting 3 on target. NYC's draw with New England on Saturday. Over NYC's last 4 matches, Pereira has attempted 17 shots, hit 10 on target. No other NYCFC players taken more than 5 or hit more than 3 on target in that time. I'm going RSL. And according to contributor Niall, Edwin Mosqueda, according to Defensa Pasión, Edwin Mosqueda might be heading back to Atlanta. So according to a Defensa Pasión, keep an eye on Edwin Mosqueda coming back. 10:30, San Jose and Philadelphia. San Jose is actually favored here at a plus 144. Draws a plus 250. Union are a plus 175. On the season pass side of things at PayPal Park, as 6-5-5 hosts 9-4-3. Jim Curtin's never lost to the Earthquakes as head coach in Philadelphia. 4 wins, 3 draws. San Jose is the only MLS opponent Philadelphia is undefeated against since Curtin became head coach in June of 2014. San Jose's last 2 matches have been a goalless draw with Colorado and a 1-0 win over Seattle. Team's first consecutive shutout since October 2020. Earthquakes have not held their opponents scoreless in 3 or more straight matches since a 4-game streak in August of 2015. Union's 3-0 win over CF Montreal extended the team's unbeaten streak in the league play to 9, winning 7. Streaks tied for Philly's longest single-season unbeaten run in team history. They had a 9-game streak last year. Daniel made 5 saves in the draw for San Jose with Colorado, including a penalty kick save on Connor Ronan with 20 to go. Became the first Earthquakes player to save a penalty in a shutout since Daniel Vega did so against the Timbers in April of 2019. Julian Carranza notched his 3rd brace in MLS play this season, 4th in all comps. In the Union's win over Montreal, no other MLS player has more than 2 multi-goal league games this season. I'll go draw. Just the travel, heading out to the West Coast, all of that kind of stuff. I think it'll be a draw there. Last 10:30 match on Saturday, Vancouver and Cincy at BC Place on the season pass side of things, as Whitecaps 5-5-6 hosting 12-1-3. Juice boxes, Vancouver's a minus 109. Minus side favorite at home. Draws a plus 282. FC Cincinnati's a plus 261. BC Place 1039 kick fun facts. Hosting FC Cincinnati for the first time. Whitecaps took at least a point in each of the 2 visits to Cincinnati in 2019 and in 2022. All 7 goals in the fixture have been scored by different players. Whitecaps came back to earn a 1-1 home draw with Sporting on Saturday, extending the home unbeaten string to 8. Team's longest single-season home unbeaten streak in league play since a 10-game streak to start 2013. FC Cincinnati's won 10 matches by exactly 1 goal this year, more than any other MLS team has total wins in 2023. Cincy's won 10 of their 13 matches, 1 goal or less this season, drawing the other 3. No other team's even won half of their games decided by 1 goal or less. Ryan Gault's PK with 2 minutes to go ended a streak of 35 consecutive league games without a goal from the spot for Vancouver, longest such drought in the team's history in Major League Soccer. Gault also scored Vancouver's last PK prior to Saturday, a stoppage time winner in June of 22 against RSL. Lucho Acosta scored his 49th goal in Major League Soccer with his the game winner over Cincinnati and Chicago. With his next, Acosta would become the 9th Argentine with 50 or more goals in a regular season and playoffs, with no other country outside the U.S. having more than 4 such players. Let's go. Let's go Vancouver here. Why not? Let's go with Vancouver. 2 on Sunday. All Caps is hosting LAG, in which could go a game that could go absolutely sideways crazy. Free side of Apple TV, Big Fox, 1 o'clock. All Caps Park in downtown St. Louis is 9-5-1's hosting 3-9-3. Even money St. Louis. All Caps is a plus 100. Plus 278 on the draw, plus 238 for LAG. Fun facts. Although I don't know how much fun it's going to be for Los Angeles. Galaxy have won 12 of their 19 matches against expansion teams since the start of the 2010 season, drawing 3 and losing 4, including the 1-0 win at Charlotte last year. Galaxy's only loss in their last 8 against MLS newcomers was a 2-0 defeat at Austin back in September of 21, winning 5 and drawing 2. All Caps has won 6 of their first 8 home MLS matches. They lost the other 2. Second time in as many years an expansion team has done so. Charlotte was the other. Only expansion team to win 7 of their first 9 was Chicago in 98, who won 8 of their first 10 home league matches. Galaxy ended an 8-match winless run in road games with the 3-2 win at RSL back at the end of May. Galaxy earned more points, 3, scored more goals, 3, in that match than they had in their first 7 road games of the season combined. 2 points, 1 goal. All Caps has scored at least 3 goals in each of their first 6 home wins this year, including winning their last 3 by a home combined score of 10-1. 5 different All Caps players have scored multiple home goals. Lewin with 5, Joaquini with 4. Memo Rodriguez, Tyler Boyd came off the bench to score in the Galaxy's win at RSL. Third time in club history, 2 Galaxy subs scored in the same match, joining the Bishop, Dejan Joveljic, and Efra Alvarez last August, and Clint Mathis and Ezra Hendrickson in the 98 playoffs. I'm going with All Caps. All Caps. Then 10 o'clock, Portland and FC Dallas from Providence Park. Portland's a plus 104. And your draw's a plus 247. Dallas to win on the road is a plus 252. And this one is on FS1. It's on the free side of Apple TV. So, Fun Facts is 4-7-5, 5-5. Portland's lost only one of the 12 regular season home matches against FC Dallas. 7 wins, draw 4. 3-1 defeat in April 2016. Visiting sides won just 2 of the 27 all-time meetings regular season between the sides. The last 2 encounters were a 1-1 draw on April 1st. They've ended in draws. Portland scoreless draw against Seattle. Third time failed to score in their last 4 regular season matches. Timbers had been shut out only 3 times in their previous 36, dating back to late May last year. FCD lost their last away match 2-1 at Sporting back on May 31st. FCD has not recorded the same result in consecutive games in any of their last 22 regular season away matches dating back to April 2022, totaling 6 wins, 8 draws, and 8 losses. Timbers attempted 11 shots in the scoreless draw with Seattle. Total XG, 0.27, the lowest of any team that has taken 10 or more shots in an MLS match since the beginning of the 2011 season. Since the 2011 season. Jesus Ferreira scored the winning goal in the 80th of FCD's 2-0 win over St. Louis City in the resume game on Wednesday. Nothing like flying up and having a game resume off a goal kick. Ferreira's 4th goal of the year. At 80th and the 80th minute or later. 3 of them being match winners. No other player has more than one match-winning goal 80th minute or later this year. I'll go Portland. Why not? Portland at a plus 104. I'll go ahead and take it. It's on the plus side. It's a home, home on the plus side, so we'll go ahead and go there. All right. Atlanta United, DC United. 7:30 at the Benz. And I know that there is talk of the roof being open. That time of day, it will be interesting to see if it is in fact open. Because, 87 degrees might be slightly temperate. So we'll see what happens. We'll go through fun facts, go through your questions. Ropes, don't know if Gigi got called up. I haven't seen it. It wasn't on the list. I haven't seen anything released from the team in that regard. So back to the top of the schedule, the first match on the board. On the season pass side of things, 7:39 kick. Pregame show on 92.9 The Game with Mike and Jason, 7 o'clock. Full-time report after. 6-4-7 hosting 6-6-5. Once again, your juice boxes, Atlanta United a minus 130. Draws a plus 295. DC United's a plus 313. So that's what you're looking at right now. Atlanta United, 25 points. They've drawn 4 of their last 5. 25 points, 5th in the East at the halfway point of the season. 3rd highest point total that the team has garnered in club history is this season. Cincinnati has only lost once in their first 16. So with a win, Atlanta goes to 4th. There is a lot of traffic behind. Columbus at 24, DC at 23, Orlando City at 23 behind on goal difference and goals scored. Charlotte at 21, they've lost 3 of 4 to get to 21 points. So that's what you're looking at right now, traffic above and below. Fun facts according to the league, Atlanta United's won its last 4 against DC United. The double in 21 and 22. Atlanta's only 5-match regular season win streak over a single opponent came against the purple team in 18 and 19. 4 straight draws for the first time in club history following the match in L.A. on Wednesday. Ended a run of 18 straight regular season games with a goal dating back to last year. Last team to fail to score in Major League Soccer this year was Atlanta United. DC has collected 18 points in their last 10 matches, winning 5 of them, including the win at Inter Miami Saturday. Total, it hasn't surpassed over a 10-game span since 2019. Win at Miami was DC's 3rd road win of the year, equaling total from each of the last 3 seasons. Brad, 8 saves. Some folks said 9, so we've just said 8.5. Scoreless draw against LA, most in a clean sheet since returning to Major League Soccer in 2017. Guzan has made more saves in a match just once since returning 9 of 10 against NYCFC in 2018. Mateus Klick has created 8 chances for teammates. He did that in the win against Miami, most by any player in an MLS match this year. Also equaled the most chances created in a match by a DC player since 2010, Nick DeLeon and Wayne Rooney. All right. So looking at the match from the midweek, well, let's take a peek at minutes. And obviously this is going to come down to when it comes to the lineup, and it's going to come down to the physios. It's going to come down to what they've seen, what they've analyzed, what it's been like in recovery this season for players, and where folks are. And Ricky Ricky, once again, our intrepid searcher of everything. So a lot of folks were wondering about the Greek national team, and so Ricky has posted their club roster for the upcoming friendlies. All right, so against LAFC, Thiago played 90. Giacomakis and Barry 75 and 15. Luis 81 minutes. Derek Etienne 58. So it was that 60-30 thing that we see. Johnny Fortune came in, played 15. Andrew Gutman gave you a full 90. Franco Ibarra gave you a full 90. Brooks Lennon gave you a full 90. Miles Robinson gave you a full 90. Hosechu gave you 75. That was when a Johnny Fortune came in to wrap things up. Juanjo Porata gave you 90. Caleb Wiley gave you 10. Tyler Wolf gave you 32. Brad was in net. So that's what you're staring at as your baseline when it comes to availabilities. Okay, so the national team call-ups for the Greek side. Hang on just a second. And so, of course, we're sitting here trying to look up what's going on with the Greek national team. So we'll keep an eye on that. Okay, sorry, distracted. I know that's a shock. All right, so the questions are: is it once again Giacomakis up top with a combination with everyone else? Do we see the questions, I guess? Do we see Ronald Hernandez? Does Caleb start? Amar Sejdic. Is Amar Sejdic a part of the midfield? Giving him that extra match with the recovery from the calf injury. So you're probably looking at some combination of, and like I said, this is just availabilities. This is me just talking out loud here for a second. So some combination. Okay, so Ricky says he did get called up by the Greek national team. So call-ups for the qualifiers. June 16, it is Greece and Ireland. The 19th, it is France and Greece. And so it's those two games in that window in June. All right, so in a week's time. All right, so here's your questions. It is availability combinations of these folks. On the left, Etienne, Wolf, Gigi, Barry, Chol, Luis, and then what you do on the right-hand side, with Luis, and then you try to figure out, do you bring in Ronald Hernandez and slide Brooks up if you want to sub out? Then you're looking at Thiago. You're looking at your midfield. Is it Sejdic who gets to play this go-round with Ibarra, and trying to figure out who the other individuals are? The ones that did not play in L.A., Luis Abram, Machop Chol, Ronald Hernandez was there, didn't get any minutes. Amar Sejdic was there, didn't get any minutes. Caleb Wiley only got 10. So is it, so you're looking at Wiley, Wolf, Fortune, Gutman on the left-hand side. Remember, Gutman had the one nasty fall late in the match. So keep an eye on minutes there. Miles, Porata. So there are moving parts that can be attached here. DC in this no need to be depressed about the Nico's comments about Luis Abram. It's just that Luis has to become familiar with the demands that are being asked of him, and so it's just you're learning the system, and so that's how I'm viewing it anyway. Last time out for DC United. Last time out for DC United, it was, let me give you the starting lineup, in the 2-1 win against Miami. Lineup. Last time out for DC in their game, it was Benteke, Funtas, Klik, Nahar, Durkin, Paulson, Pedro, Wilson, Birnbaum, Pines, Pedro Santos, Wilson, Birnbaum, Pines, and in net it was Tyler Miller. So with 20 to go, we tag in Nicolifi. Nicolifi, what is up, sir?
I just figured I'd jump on for a minute.
What is up? What is up, Nicolifi?
Well, I'm not going to be cutting 22-minute promos today. That's not happening.
No?
Okay. No, I'm not cutting a 22-minute promo today.
Okay.
We're not doing that.
All right.
That's all the mascara news.
Yes, and so we're keeping an eye on that. Trying to determine / figure out if Edwin is making a return with the upcoming egress of Luis Araujo.
Mm-hmm.
Does Edwin become a part of the discussion once again coming up from Defensa y Justicia? Ricky is asking how you feel about your baby Azzurri in the U20s.
Oh, hey, I'm feeling prime about the baby Azzurri. So, they got a little bit of justice over South Korea for 2002, a little bit of a vengeance tour. Vengeance never dies.
Mm-hmm.
Look, nobody does vendetta better than the Italians. All right. Okay. So we had to punish the South Korean kids, let them know that it's not forgotten. Mm-hmm. And so we're in the finals. I'm feeling very good about that. But as far as Mosquera goes, look, he's, I think we know he's not going to be a starter. I think it's going to be a situation where, you just have, you just need bodies at this point. So make sure that you have somebody who's playing or eligible to play until the new guy gets brought in. Yeah, Ricky. Yeah, that's 100% correct. Justice for 2002 from kids who were not even born in 2002. That's 100% correct, because they're going to go home and they're going to be like, Mom, Dad,
did it for you.
Why in the world did those kids in those blue shirts beat us so terribly? And essentially what Mom and Dad are going to say, well, look, I'm sorry that happened to you. Back in 2002, we may have said and done some things that were problematic, and that's it. That's how it goes. And then they're going to get a little history lesson, and everything will be okay for them at some point down the road, just not now.
Yep. And international window. Okay, so we now have the call-ups from Major League Soccer and for the international window.
Oh, God.
Yeah, well, it appears Giacomakis was a part of it.
Oh, God.
All right, and this will obviously this will get updated. Luis Abram, Thiago Almada, Miles Robinson so far, and it looked like Giacomakis was on the Greek national team list. So we'll keep an eye on that. We knew about Miles and Almada and Abram, and it looks like Giacomakis will be added to the list in short order for the two matches on the 16th and the 19th. Greece, Ireland, and France, Greece when it comes to qualifiers.
Wow! Gird your loins, everybody.
Yep. So that means that the end of that window, 16th and 19th. I don't think, that's an international window. I don't think that there's anything going on for Atlanta United. The second team has match in Columbus and a match in Toronto, and then everybody returns for the NYCFC match on the 21st. So everybody flying back quickly to try to see how many minutes you can give me, basically, in that kind of a situation.
Well, that's fine and good, but this is part of running the off-kilter schedule. This is something we have to deal with. So, this is also part of and parcel of the process. Whenever you get someone who's an absolute unit like Giacomakis, then he's going to get called up because the Greeks, never trust Greeks bearing gifts, right? That's the whole thing. So the Greeks bearing the gifts of international Call of Duty.
Right.
I don't like it. I don't.
Yeah. We're talking Atlanta and DC to kind of go through things this morning, and Atlanta favored heavily, minus 128. DC United's a plus 312. Draw is just under plus 300. Looking at this match, Atlanta United, third most points that they have ever accumulated at the halfway point of the season.
Mm-hmm.
They are in fifth in the East. Obviously, there's a lot of traffic behind, but right now you're despite everything that has happened in some of the spots along the way, third most points ever accumulated at the halfway point of the season, fifth in the East, and have a chance to get another full points against DC United. I know. Go ahead. That's why we're here. Lay it out.
Yep. Over time, we've seen this with a lot of different teams. You learn how to win and you learn how to lose. And in this particular sport, sometimes you just learn how to work out a draw. This team has a significant amount of talent available. They also have a lot of different headaches happening at the same time. The numbers, I don't think, are going to, from a gambling standpoint.
Right.
This is not a team I wouldn't bet on MLS anyway.
Correct.
We've already discussed this. But my belief is that this is not a team that if I were a gambling man, I'd be putting money on in any way, in any direction, win, lose, or draw.
Avoid Major League Soccer with your juice boxes.
Right. Well, I would, if I were even gambling on it, Major League Soccer, I would not put money in any direction on Atlanta United right now because there's no, it's what you saw from Brad this past game, it was electric. I don't know how repeatable it is. I'm hoping it is repeatable because that was spectacular. I also don't want it to be repeatable because I want the defense to do a better job of shielding them than they did. To me, the issues right now are fixable. I don't know who is giving them the green light to sort of loft these back passes. Like we're going to chip a back pass. No, I want that to stop. Ibarra, and as great as he is with these crunching tackles, I need him to watch his yellow card accumulation. That's got to get sorted.
But how much of that is developed reputation, though, too?
A lot of it, especially in this league. There are a lot of people who get away with worse tackles than Ibarra, but at the same time, you have to deal with what we call in the military the reality on the ground, which is if the officials are eyeing you for whatever reason, you have to play within the confines of that reality, which is they're going to give you a card faster than they'll give a card to someone else. It's just the reality on the ground. I don't like it. It's not fair. There are teams up in, there are other teams, Energy Drink up in New Jersey. And
all caps.
Yeah, Philly, with players that do far worse than Ibarra and seem to avoid the cards. I don't know how it is. I can't make sense of it. But the lofting chip passes back going backwards and sort of I'll say that the sort of misplaced on the ground back passes with not enough weight or too much weight, that just needs to be sorted. And I don't know if that's sorted through repetition or drills or whatever. But that, to me, that's the biggest issue that I'm seeing. And I'm, and also communication on different assignments needs to be clarified as well. When Atlanta sorts that out, the goal scoring engine, I know people, because our goals our large goals have been scored in chunks, right? These 3-game, 4-goal games. Yeah. But, the goal scoring's there. It's more of putting ourselves into trouble with going backwards, trying to retain possession that has to be sorted because we are putting the ball into dangerous positions, not the opponent. And that to me is something that can be fixed. But whether or not Atlanta gets that sorted in the next game or two is up for debate. But I think I'm hoping they at least have it sorted out by the international break, so that way we can come back and have sort of a resorted, reloaded, and refreshed mindset. But to me, that's the biggest issue right now. That's why I wouldn't put money on Atlanta to win, lose, or draw. I would withhold my money generally because the mistakes are too easy. They are happening repeatedly, and we're relying on unbelievable brilliance from a couple of players in order to ensure success. That's generally where I am, trying not to put emotion into it.
Your officiating crew, Philip Duyich, is the man in the middle. Your AR is Andrew Bigelow and Kevin Klinger. Your fourth is Matt Thompson. Your VAR is Jose Carlos Rivero. And your AVAR is Joseph Batko. Duyich's numbers on average, he's been in the middle 7 times this year, and he is averaging, see, this is where I have to do math, 7, he's called 165 fouls in his 7 matches in the middle. So that's 23 on average. 23 fouls a match. He has given 22 yellows, so he's averaging 3 yellows a match, and that's toward the bottom of the rung. And he has flashed a couple of reds, but 23 fouls on average. So it sounds like Duyich traditionally lets the game breathe a little bit, which could benefit the aggressive defense for Atlanta United, especially in the midfield, and could help against the firepower that DC is developing with Benteke and Click up top. So that's your rundown of Philip Duyich's dance card. He does not seem to be a blackjack dealer when it comes to action on the field.
Right. And I think part of Atlanta's issues with sort of the heavier defense in midfield comes from the fact that there's a lot of instability on the back line.
Yeah.
So if we start with instability on the back line, everything builds from defense, right? Attack builds from defense, builds from the back line, keeping clean sheets, all of it. Your back line it needs to be sorted and needs to be functioning as a unit. There are individuals right now on the back line who play really well. They're not playing in concert with each other. And that's where the difference is between effective back lines and ineffective back lines, is playing in concert, where players know where their coworkers are going to be going, right? Mm-hmm. Like I know that this player tends to push forward. He's a bit more aggressive. So I'm going to drop down, beneath. And so we're going to have like almost like a diamond shape there for a moment. Yep. I know that we're going to be doing this, or in this particular situation, this is how this player reacts. And with Brad back there, you're probably getting more of him trying to be an orchestrator, and that's helpful. But what happens is when you have instability on that back line, the midfield suddenly feels more pressure to sort of shunt the ball out toward the wings to keep it, coming directly down the middle. And so that means that the players are going to be a little more desperate in their tackles. They're going to be a bit more desperate in their attempts to stop the forward progress, which means that your angles, if your angles aren't, if you lose the ball in transition, your angle's not going to be right, which means the official's more likely to give you a card, because if it looks like you're tackling from behind, mm-hmm. which happens to Ibarra frequently, then then you're coming down to where timing and direction and where the referee's position, all of that factors into whether or not the ref's going to throw the card. And the more the pressure that midfield feels, and that, okay, we have to stop this now because there's no guarantees this back line is going to be able to get it done. We're going to continue to be putting ourselves into foul trouble very early on. The back line has to become more of an orchestra working together to produce a singular project instead of these individual moments of brilliance, right? So Parata will have a moment of brilliance and then a disastrous mistake. And then Robinson will do 3 or 4 amazing things individually, but then have a shutoff moment which leaves Lennon with a 2-on-1 situation. So we have to really focus on that back line and getting them to work in concert with each other to take the pressure off the midfield. So that way Ibarra's not always, in a position like LGP was, where I'm one game away from getting a yellow card like every other week.
Well, and to Ricky's point, both Gigi and Ibarra are one yellow away from a 1-game suspension. So.
Right. And again, it's that pressure. Yeah. It's that, oh my God, everyone back, everyone defend, everyone's going into triage mode. Mm-hmm. And so that means that Giakoumakis is having to drop in because he's a unit. And then, he's throwing that big body of his around. He's not a natural tackler. And he came from Scotland, right? So, I mean, what's considered a fair challenge in Scotland and what's considered a fair challenge in MLS are radically different things.
A fair challenge you had there, lad, I tell you.
Exactly. Yeah. The haggis challenge is very different than the hot dog challenge.
Yeah.
So the back line has to get sorted because the pressure is then on everyone else to stop these attacks. And when we keep turning the ball over in transition and transition phase, it becomes like murder the man with the ball, and that's not helping us either. But if you have a steady back line, that allows everyone else to say, okay, let's try to redirect. Let's try to, gradually push them to one side or to the other to make, because if you push someone to the wing and they beat you still with like some kind of Pele or Ronaldinho move, congratulations, right? You were just better in the one-on-one situation.
Yeah.
But if you let a team drive right down the middle and have these, crazy moments where you're getting ripped apart down the middle, that's happening because of instability. That's happening because players are not where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there, or there's somebody has pushed forward too far and there's now a gap or a space that's being exposed. And that to me is the biggest issue with Atlanta United right now. That's something that has to be sorted in this DC game. This is an opportunity for you to be able to do that, but we have to stop giving terrible teams opportunities by allowing them to attack us right down the throat of the defense. That's not something that's sustainable because you can't count on an 8 or 9 save game from Brad. You cannot count on Almada, especially as the season goes on and Pro being Pro.
Yeah.
They will stop giving Atlanta United free kicks from 22 yards out. They're going to stop. Yeah. Because they know that Atlanta is going to be looking for it because of what Almada could do in his skill set. So they're going to say, look, anything around that, just let it, either give them advantage or, just no call, because at the end of the day, we know what they're trying to do. Mm-hmm. And there's nobody in the world, in my opinion, who's as bad about that as Pro is, because they form their opinions. And the book on Atlanta is that we throw ourselves to the ground, especially in around 22, 23 yards out where Almada's sweet range is. They know that we have players who like to carry the ball, and in Pro's mind, they're going to fish for it. We have players like Ibarra, who is essentially now becoming, I guess, like MLS Gattuso, and is, who does these unbelievable, wonderful tackles that I love personally. But Pro looks at that and says, this guy's a problem. We have to police him extra tight. But yet they don't police Energy Drink, St. Louis, the Union, or any of these other teams that decide to play murder the man with the ball for the first 37 minutes.
Right.
So you have to deal with the reality on the ground, and Atlanta has to deal with the realities that are presented to them via pro, and they have to deal with the reality of the style of play that we want to do, what we want to execute, which, this press and then possess the ball. But in our possession phase, when we're trying to work the ball back, you need to work the ball back accurately. You need to work it, which means putting the ball to the right player. To hell with the correct foot at this point. Get it to the correct player, and make sure that it's being given enough weight where if for some reason the player misses because of pressure being applied, that the ball is not directly 15 feet in front of Guzan. So he has to be Gigi Buffon reincarnated. So these are things that Atlanta has to clean up, but they're working against themselves right now, and they're working against pro. And now every team in the league has to work against pro, because pro seems to have taken on this adversarial stance in general with inconsistent and terrible calls.
Yeah.
But Atlanta, I think, is getting really the worst, probably the worst of it, because this league does not know how to cater to players who are skilled with the ball at their feet. You see this as well with LAFC. Mm-hmm. LAFC has the same problem. When Messi shows up for Miami, it's going to be the same thing with him. This league does not know how to police around skilled and talented players with the ball at their feet. They have zero clue how to do it. And Atlanta has to remember that whenever they're working the ball around.
Forecard is requesting more Nick Atlanta United analysis on Fridays or other days of the week.
Yeah, I'm happy to. If the schedule permits, I'm happy to do so.
So there you go. A couple of other pieces of news. Once again, recapping the day and the weekend. Tonight, 6:45, your pregame show starts. Atlanta United 2 is in Chester, Pennsylvania, taking on Philadelphia Union 2. I'll have your pregame. Jason will have the call for you a little before 7 o'clock. Then tomorrow afternoon, 1 o'clock, Reverb by Hard Rock. You get your tailgating pregame show with SDH. So be at Reverb, have fun, come see us, be a part of it all as we get you ready for Atlanta United and DC, either as your day has started tailgating or as maybe a bit of an appetizer for your tailgate, or maybe just a little palate cleanser. You've started your tailgate, you come and you have your palate cleanser with us at Reverb at 1 o'clock, and then you go back to tailgating shortly thereafter. Then you've got Atlanta United. You've got your tailgating. You've got Atlanta United. Pregame show starts at 7 o'clock on 92.9 The Game with Mike and Jason. Kickoff at 7:39. They will have a full-time report after that, and then everything will continue to roll and advance and work its way forward. News of the morning before we go. It looks like PSG President Nasser Al-Khelaifi, according to Ornstein and Slater at The Athletic, has played a significant role in talks over the purchase of Manchester United by the group fronted by Qatari royal Sheikh Jassim. United put up for sale last November. Sheikh Jassim's bid initially consulted Al-Khelaifi for advice on the valuation, as the Glazers indicated they wanted £6.4 billion for the club. He subsequently has been contacted by the Glazers in an attempt to persuade Sheikh Jassim to increase his bid. Acting in an advisory role, he's met the Glazers and Rain Group to discuss the proposed takeover earlier in the week. According to Ornstein, amid growing frustration at the slow pace of the process and a sense the wind is blowing in Ratcliffe's direction, Sheikh Jassim's group submitted what is described as their fifth and final bid. And so the question, continues once again to be raised about these kinds of things, where involvement of folks that are tied to state-run funds. That's what you're staring at now. New York Times. So it is a continually interesting thing here. So other clubs want the Premier League to investigate the source of funds, and so you're looking at all of this stuff going forward. No regulations against state-linked ownership in the Prem, but the source of funding is scrutinized. You can now expect the mother of all lobbying to take place from Premier League clubs toward the Premier League board, according to Crafton, as was the case with the Newcastle takeover. So keep an eye on that when it comes to Manchester United and their sale going forward. Nick, I think that's a show.
There you go.
I mean, we've covered Atlanta United. We covered all of Major League Soccer. We've done some of the news that's fit to print and got ready, and I got mad at stupid people. So I think that's a show.
Oh, wow. Okay. Mad at stupid people. Good Lord. Can't believe I missed that.
Idiots that are throwing things onto the field and hitting players. I was still mad. I was wondering the rationale, like what we saw in the Europa Conference League final, where people are throwing things. The West Ham fans are throwing things and hitting Fiorentina players in the head with bottles and things like that. So I was just, it's like, what compels somebody to sit there and go from yelling to taking their $14 bottle of water and chucking it and hitting somebody in the head with it. And so, so I was kind of going berserk there with all of that stuff. So since it is the end of the show, sir, would you please send us home?
All right. Until next time, everybody, please don't throw anything on the field. Go see a counselor. So until next time, mucha euro, y'all.
What he said. We'll see you tonight, 6:45 for the Twos in Philadelphia Union 2. Full weekend. We'll catch up with you back again here on Monday.